Ben 10 was going to die in my universe. Okay, let me show you. You move your mouth too much. Okay, you move your mouth too much because in my universe, you see that? You move that too much, Too much. Let's get on to the video.
How the Shadow Ogre kills Ben 10. The Shadow Ogre's victory over Ben Tennyson would not be a fight, but a meticulous experiment in controlled, psychological, and conceptual domination. He would deliberately allow Ben to showcase his transformations, using his limited power states to expose the limitations of the Omnitrix before executing a surgical, permanent conceptual kill. Phase 1. The disdainful variable. Humiliation. Goal. Force Ben to use his best forms and expose the Omnitrix's weakness. The Ogre, operating in his disdainful variable, State 1, engages Ben in his weakest, most arrogant forms. 1. Opening move, Psychological Warfare. The Ogre uses his omniscient tactical prowess, Black Panther/Batman's mind, to predict Ben's initial choice. Ben likely chooses a brute force alien like Homungusaur or Four Arms. The Ogre does not transform or use high-tier dojutsu. Instead, he uses Yujiro Hanma's demon back and reality-bending striking. 2. The beatdown and mockery. The Shadow Ogre takes every one of Ben's best physical attacks with invulnerable durability, shrugging off planetary-scale punches from way big with minimal effect as a form of contemptuous defense. He then uses targeted nerve strikes and chakra-infused impacts to dismantle the alien form's muscular and nervous system with impossible speed, forcing Ben to time out prematurely back to his human form due to pain and system shock. 3. Counter-replication. Ben, realizing physical force is useless, tries a powerhouse with unique abilities such as Atomix, nuclear energy, or Gravitac, gravity manipulation. The Ogre, upon the first observation, instantly uses adaptive replication to master the alien's power. If Gravitac the Ogre generates an opposing gravitational field with his Rinnegan's almighty push/planetary devastation, that not only negates Gravitac's power but crushes the alien's rocky body, forcing a painful timeout. If Atomix the Ogre instantly replicates the nuclear fusion ability, but uses his perfected ninjutsu, like a wide-area Great Rasen Ring or Rasen Shuriken with Saturn rings, to amplify and weaponize the energy into a planet-shattering chakra nuke that forces Ben to frantically try to time out to save the planet. Phase 2. The Apex Challenge. Conceptual Termination. Goal. Defeat Ben's strongest form, Alien X, by conceptually nullifying its source of power. Ben, desperate and humiliated, now attempts his final, ultimate, and most powerful alien. 1. The ultimate counter, Alien X. Ben transforms into Alien X, Celestial Sapiens. Knowing his reality-warping power should be unchallengeable. This is the moment the Shadow Ogre has been waiting for, the opponent hitting their absolute pinnacle. 2. Conceptual Setup. The Meta Limiter. The Ogre activates his Apex Challenge, State 2, not to fight Alien X but to conceptually disable it. The Ogre's Meta Limiter is the perfect counter to a Celestial Sapiens. The Ogre analyzes the fundamental source of Alien X's power, the need for Serena and Bellicus, the two personalities, to agree. This is the structural flaw, or limiter, on Alien X's cosmic power. The nullification, the Shadow Ogre, uses the Meta Limiter to conceptually nullify the fundamental need for agreement that makes the Celestial Sapiens work. He could also conceptually remove the source of power that allows the three personalities to exist, or even conceptual identity transfer to momentarily swap his conceptual identity with one of the personalities. 3. The kill. The core of the Celestial Sapiens' power is instantly rendered inert. Alien X is now a statuesque, powerless husk that cannot act or react. The Ogre then uses a simple, contemptuous final attack. He uses the Rinnegan Soul Extraction through a touch, or he uses a single, precise, reality-bending strike infused with primordial chakra to bypass the shell of Alien X, destroying Ben's human consciousness within the Omnitrix. Conclusion. Ben Tennyson is defeated not by a bigger punch or a stronger laser, but by a conceptual override of the Omnitrix's most powerful form. The Shadow Ogre's victory is an intellectual triumph, proving that even a device that allows access to all power systems is subservient to a being who fundamentally transcends causality, law, and narrative. Representing absolute, unbothered finality. The strategy for defeating Ben 10 is vastly simpler and more direct for the Quiet, as he transcends the need for strategic engagement or drawn-out battles. How the Quiet kills Ben 10. The Quiet's victory would be instantaneous and entirely based on the perpetual defense and the sheer finality of his absolute erasure ability. There would be no fight, no strategic engagement, and no transformation window for Ben. The kill strategy, absolute erasure via perpetual defense. The Quiet's existence is an A- causal truth, meaning he is the very definition of a no-limits power. An unbothered human whose presence simply dictates a final outcome. 1. Invoking the perpetual defense, the trigger. The defeat is initiated by Ben's inherent heroic impulse and the fundamental nature of the Omnitrix. Ben's action. Ben Tennyson, upon encountering a calm, unbothered, and clearly powerful individual who radiates absolute finality, would, as is his character's nature, assume a threat and attempt to stop him. He would likely transform into his fastest alien, XLR-8, or his most defensive, Diamond Head, and initiate an attack or a preemptive defense. The inviolable law. The moment Ben, or the alien form he is currently in, commits any act of aggression, be it a punch, a speed blitz, a laser blast, or even the intent to transform the Omnitrix, the perpetual defense, the law of absolute repulsion, is triggered. This defense is automatic and absolute, operating outside of Ben's perception and power level. 2. The execution, the null source decree. The quiet does not have to consciously issue the command. The defense instantly subjects the attacker to the absolute erasure. Targeted conceptual attack. The defense would utilize the null source decree against Ben. Function. This authority erases the fundamental source of an opponent's power, which, in Ben's case, is the Omnitrix itself and the concept of transformation. Result. The quiet's power conceptually eradicates the very idea of the Omnitrix existing on Ben's wrist, reducing it to a fundamental, non-existent state. The device, its energy source, its transformations, and its history would be subject to the paradoxical retcon, ensuring that the narrative convenience of the Omnitrix simply stops existing, without exception or possibility of return. 3. The finality, the self-annihilation command. With the source of his power gone, Ben is left as a regular, base-level human. The final command, the quiet's unbothered mind, having nullified the threat, issues the final conscious command, erase. The outcome, the self-annihilation command, is directed at Ben Tennyson's will to live, coupled with the soul severance. Ben instantly loses all desire to exist, accepting his own death as a certainty. His physical form, soul, and consciousness are instantly subjected to the absolute erasure and removed from all planes of existence, making resurrection impossible. Why the Quiet's victory is absolute. The Quiet's powers are designed to bypass every single defense Ben 10 has ever possessed. Alien X, the cosmic threat. Alien X would be useless. It requires the agreement of 3 personalities to act, which is a slow, causal process. The Quiet's perpetual defense is acausal and instantaneous. It would erase the Omnitrix before Ben could finish calling out the alien's name, or if he were already transformed, the defense would utilize the null source decree on the concept of celestial sapiens DNA within the device. The Omnitrix's self-defense, the Omnitrix's own powerful defenses, self-destruct, defensive field, health restoration, are all physical and technological systems that would be instantly negated by the conceptual scourge and the void command, erasing the very concept of its protective programming. The law of willed structure, the Quiet, much like his brother, operates at a level where reality warping and scaling are simply variables he can erase. Ben's ultimate power is merely a tool, and the Quiet's power is the law that dictates whether that tool is allowed to exist at all. To defeat Ben 10 instantly, the Fractal wouldn't need a fight. It would use its inherent nature as a temporal/spatial anomaly to nullify the core mechanism that defines Ben's existence, the ability to exist in a single, predictable state. Here is the strategic execution of how the Fractal achieves an instantaneous kill. 1. Targeting the Omnitrix's conceptual anchor. The Fractal's primary power is inconsistent state manifestation, ISM, and temporal uncertainty. The Omnitrix relies on the fundamental ordered principle of transformation. The device selects a single, stable DNA state from a locked database and anchors Ben to it for a finite time. This order is a direct contradiction to the Fractal's philosophy of universal chaos. The Fractal initiates the attack with an instantaneous passive deployment of its nature. Temporal uncertainty field. The Fractal generates a localized field of pure chaos that causes the physical space and time around Ben to exist in a chaotic superposition of countless alternate timelines and random power states. 2. The inconsistent state manifestation kill. The Fractal's kill is achieved by forcing the Omnitrix to simultaneously process an infinite number of contradictory command states, resulting in a conceptual system crash that tears Ben apart at the molecular level. The power shift/attack. The Fractal's million personalities instantly swap, each manifesting a unique reality-warping superpower, but all focused on the same point, the Omnitrix. Temporal regression. A personality instantly de-ages the Omnitrix's internal hardware and current software, the master control, to its original, unstable prototype state. Spatial paradox. A second personality simultaneously pulls the Omnitrix's current location from a future timeline where it is being worn by a different version of Ben, e.g., Ben 10,000. Conceptual nullification. A third personality manifests a power that instantly erases the concept of stable DNA in the local field. The outcome, instantaneous disintegration. The Omnitrix, a device built on order and single-state stability, is forced to process being a prototype, an advanced model, and a piece of equipment currently occupying multiple, contradictory points in time and space, while simultaneously being told that the DNA it uses is conceptually unstable. The device instantly undergoes a catastrophic multiversal lockup, where the safety protocols, which are designed to prevent two aliens from merging, attempt to stabilize an infinite number of merging non-existent forms. Ben is disintegrated. Ben Tennyson, whether in human form or in alien form like Alien XV, is the anchor for the Omnitrix. The instantaneous chaotic feedback loop from the device tears his body apart. It's not a physical destruction but a conceptual fragmentation, where his being is simultaneously shredded across an infinite number of non-existent realities. The Fractal does not defeat Ben 10. It simply forces the ordered system that allows Ben to exist as a superhero to encounter an infinite variable, causing a catastrophic, instantaneous shutdown of Ben's very presence in the current reality.
Alright, you guys, and that's the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll be back with another one.